spending spree, landing 3 veteran defensive players, and in trades he picked up a new quarterback and a running back. Like a fine wine, it appears as if the Jets have improved with age. But football isn't wine, and perhaps the Jets' most glaring weakness, their offensive line, remains, to be charitable, a question mark. Here's Jimmy Roberts.
Cover the ball! Play action! Dig! Dig! Double left, 26.
After 3 years on the rise, it was the disaster season. 22 players missed 109 games due to injury. For 3, it was the end of a career. For the team, it was a 4-12 record. And so the offseason brought changes. Camp opened in July. There were 38 new faces. And the changes brought questions.
But the question is, are you too old?
No, I'm not too old at all. I mean, Phil Simms, who's starting probably about 20 miles down the road, is 5 years older than me, and they're talking about a rebirth in him.
Along with the 32-year-old Esiason, 34-year-old Ronnie Lott, and 31-year-old Leonard Marshall comprise a troika of high-priced imports from historically successful programs. Management hopes they will work an attitude adjustment on a young team, even if these players' best days might be behind them.
I don't think of myself maybe as the best, but I want to say that I'm still right there in the top 5, top 10 safeties in the league.
Lott is just changing teams. One of his new teammates goes him one better.
Probably the person that's got to make the biggest adjustment is Leonard Marshall, going from a 3-4 to a 4-3. But that's what he's been dying to do for the last, 4 years.
I love the eagle tackle position. I read what Bruce thought, that I thought it was my position, and I do think of it as my position. That's how much I like it, because I'm constantly slashing and stunting and creating things in the backfield, and, it's a position of force.
The New Age Jets, though, are not exactly the second coming of the over-the-hill gang. Eric Thomas is 28, Johnny Johnson is 25, and Marvin Jones is just 21. Despite all the off-season trade and free agent activity on the defense and in the offensive backfield, the most significant change for the Jets this season might be one they just didn't make.
We tried to be active in free agency in the offensive line area. The money got ridiculous, and we kind of had a budget, and we kind of had other needs too. And some very, very ordinary players were getting big money.
You can't fix everything in 1 year, Jimmy.
With the departure of Irv Eatman and the addition of only 2 middle-round draft choices on the line, depth will be a problem. But the Jets are quick to point out that this is basically the same unit which had New York in the NFL's top 5 in rushing just 2 years ago.
We don't have 5 All-Pros, but we have 5 guys that I think are very, very good, very solid football players.
I think we have to resolve some things, simplify some things, and stop these guys from jumping off sides and false starts.
They took a lot of the blame last year, and which was...
Deserve it?
Yeah, sure they did, but everybody else did too. They took probably more than their fair share. Everybody could have played better last year, no question about that.
As bad as last year was, it could have been worse. New York fans and media focused their wrath on the other coach in town. Now that Ray is gone, Team Green stands alone under the microscope, hoping to prove that last year was an aberration, and all these changes will put the Jets back on the right track. Reporting from New York, I'm Jimmy Roberts, ESPN.
The NFL Training Camp Report is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.